Blank grabbed Bee's arm as he turned and took off like a rocket, nearly leaving her body behind in the process. Rooms flew by in a blur as he dragged her along. He turned a corner, then another, then suddenly stopped. "Look at me, Bee. We have to split up, but there's no way we all outrun that guy. And counting on him to be full after his little snack would be foolish. We can, if we hide and it finds us, we die." His grip tightened. "I'm gonna put you in the ceiling. Stay quiet." Bee's face was turning red, eyes watering. "Listen, I know what you're thinking, but we don't have time to argue. I can lose it on my own, trust me, Bee. We have to do this. Stay quiet and don't move." Bee lunged forward, squeezing Blank in a bear hug. "That's exactly what Dad said. But I won't get eaten." Without another word, Blank picked her up and ran into the nearest room. It was faint, but he could hear its footsteps getting closer. It's surprisingly quiet for its size, he thought. He got on the counter, lifted the ceiling tile, and helped her climb in. With a big smile, Blank whispered, "Don't get eaten." Then he disappeared. Blank went a few rooms down and across the hall, lying in wait. Seconds felt like days as the tremors made by weighty steps grew more distinct. Each vibration crawled up through the soles of his feet, into his knees, into his chest. In the dark room, with nothing but his slightly pointy pole, Blank found a reflective piece of glass and angled it to see down the hallway. The tremors seemed to stop. Then he saw it. A large four-legged beast. Dark, sickly green skin stretched tight over bulging muscle. Wild eyes set too far apart. Even wilder teeth protruding in ways that didn't look useful for eating. Its three-pronged front paws were the size of tires. The mouth on the end of its tail swayed back and forth. It had no eyes in its head, only two slits above the tail mouth that pulsed faintly as it tasted the air. It slowly started making its way toward the room Bee was hidden in. Of course. Blank took a deep breath. Gah, this day sucks. Blank bolted out from the shadows. The monster's tail hissed, gaining the attention from the bigger half, invoking a roar of its own. "Yeah?" Blank screamed as he ran. "What you gonna do about it?" Thump, thump, all thoughts of stealth dead and gone as the chase began in earnest. Blank nearly busted his ass as he banked around the corner. The creature behind him did the same, claws screeching against tile, chunks of floor flying. This next hallway was long. None of them were ever all that short, but literally sprinting for his life made it feel like he passed a quadrillion rooms before he got to the end. He could feel its hot breath on his neck, humid and rancid, like a furnace full of rotten meat. He didn't dare glance back, but he could swear it felt as if it was smiling, so sure its next meal was nearly cooked. This kind of pissed him off, to be honest. This thing didn't look at him as an opponent. He was a lesser being, a snack before its next meal. He supposed he didn't have the right to be as pissed as he was, considering he was acting the part. But he decided it was time to mix it up. Before hitting the wall at the end of the hallway, Blank kicked the corner to his right, launching himself to the left as hard as he could, while placing the pole he held against the wall he'd been running toward. The big boy crashed into the wall, just barely missing him, taking his left shoe in the process. The impact boomed like a cannon shot. The entire hallway shook. Blank landed in a roll, skinning his shoulder, breath blasting from his lungs. He turned toward the crash beast in the process. There were almost 2 seconds of complete silence. Then he heard its bellowing cry. Blank yanked off his left sock in order to gain more purchase on the ground beneath him. Plus, he hated wet socks. Frantically looking around for a new weapon, his eyes landed upon a guillotine blade, the sharp end of a paper cutter. A meaty paw slowly made its way through the hole in the wall, concrete dust raining down around it. It's gotta be dazed, he thought. Thickness of these walls is no joke. Weapon in hand, Blank prepared himself in a defensive stance for the rest of the monster to make its way through. He smiled wildly as he saw the good work his previous weapon had done. The spear-shaped pole, half his height in length if not longer, 90% of which was embedded in the face of the ugly duckling just below its right eye. "How the hell are you still alive?" It swayed back and forth, seeming to have trouble focusing on him. It went to shake its head and paw at the portion of beam hanging from its face, immediately regretting the action as it howled again in pain. Then, huff, a steamy mess burst from its nostrils, mixed with what he could only assume was mucus and blood. "All right, here we go." Suddenly its neck puffed out like a balloon. similar to a blunt-headed burrowing frog. Then it shot out what had to be the grossest thing he'd seen all day. Even if it wasn't lethal, there's no way I'm letting that get on me. Blank dove hard, giving the floor a smooch, then rolled to the side. The tailmouth thing landed where he once was, back on his feet, standing in front of I'm gonna call you Chuckles. Chuckles launched himself at him, meaty paw raised for a high five to his face. Blank hopped back while returning a swipe of his own. I couldn't leave him hanging. Then he ducked the tail as it swiped toward him, not forgetting to give it some attention with his makeshift sword. The impact jarred his arm all the way to the elbow. This went on for hundreds of seconds. Attack, parry, dodge. Blank's lungs burned. His calves screamed. His grip slipped and re-tightened. In his flow state, he almost failed to notice he was backing into that pile of steamy mess it had released earlier. I'm assuming it hadn't sent more of those my way due to it needing to build up. He backflipped over the gooey mess as it sizzled the ground. Sure enough, while he was in the air, Chuckles gathered another loogie for him. Luckily, Blank was close enough to the wall to kick himself off in the opposite direction. But as he landed, the beast was already in the air coming toward him. With a smirk that seemed to say checkmate, Blank threw his arms up at the last second, not knowing what else to do as it slammed into him. His vision blurred. He felt more than he heard a large crack from behind him, the end of the hall. The creature's arm length was actually slightly shorter than his own, well, being 5 times as thick. Blank gritted his teeth and growled as he pushed back with everything he had. The creature seemed more surprised than he was by his ability to push it back, but not enough to get it off him. His body went deeper into the wall as he saw its tail rear up behind him. It struck down toward his head. Blank managed to move slightly to the side. The tail mouth burrowed into his shoulder and some of his neck. He screamed. Chuckles lived up to his new name with a few deep, approving gurgles, but Blank wasn't done. He bit at the side of the snake-like thing's head, mouth opening wider than what probably should have been possible. He wasn't sure exactly what his bite force was in that moment, but it was enough to take 70% of that thing's face clean off. Chuckles returned his own scream of pain. Waste not, want not. 3 solid shoves and down the gullet it went, while Blank stared into its strange, goofy eyes, until its neck started to puff up for the 3rd time. No, cheater! It hasn't been nearly enough time for one of those. And Blank might have been right, considering how long it was taking for her to reach its normal size. But did it even need to reach its full size at this distance? He struggled, slowly but surely lifting the beast off him, but it wouldn't be fast enough. Clop, 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 clop. The sound of high heels slowly making their way toward them echoed through the halls to his left, which seemed to get the attention of Chuckles as well. Before either of them could look to see what was coming, the silhouette of a woman suddenly appeared next to them. She stood impossibly still for half a heartbeat, framed by flickering emergency lights and drifting dust. Then movement. With extreme speed, she tapped the shoulder of the beast 7 to 20 times, like an impatient child asking his mommy for a snack. Each tap landed with surgical precision. Suddenly, the beast was no longer pushing toward Blank. Its entire arm went slack, collapsing under its own weight, gravity now being his only obstacle. Blank was able to hold off Chuckles with one hand, pulling his right back for a heavy swing. His fist made itself a new home in the beast's ribs, leaving an indent in its place and launching it a few more inches away from him. That gave him the leverage for a strong front kick, curling it back even further. The goop it had been gathering in its mouth spilled all over its chest as it slid in the pile of goo it had previously spewed out. "Goddamn," Blank said, breathing heavily. He turned to look at his new friend. "Thanks for the assist." She had on a long red dress, skin-tight until it reached her hips, clearly designed for mobility. The fabric shimmered faintly, catching the light like liquid blood. Her arms and legs were covered in a black fabric that clung to her like a second skin, matte and light-absorbing, swallowing reflections. Leather high-heeled boots clicked softly against the floor, each step deliberate, predatory. She flipped her shoulder-length straight black hair. It rippled mid-motion, shifting color. First deep crimson, then cherry red, then something between cherry blonde and firelit gold. She let out an exasperated gasp, rolled her eyes, and started to walk toward the monster like it was an inconvenience she intended to finish later. It took a second to knock Blank out of his stupor. "Wow, shouldn't we strategize a bit?" You seem more than capable, but... She put up a finger. Haven't I helped you enough? She said coolly. Her voice carried a velvety edge that didn't match the threat in her eyes. I have more important things to do than fool around helping punks like you. Okay, damn. Screw me, I guess, Blank muttered, then louder. So I'm guessing you know what's going on here. Can I at least get a name? Are you working with the people who brought me here? And what did you do to Chuckles? Some kind of pressure point bullshit? She smiled, slow, sharp, and dangerous. I simply attacked. PSH. It looked like you tickled it and then its arm went limp. She raised an eyebrow. Would you like to be tickled? God, no, Blank blurted. Pause. I mean, does anyone like being tickled? Perhaps this place will do you some good after all. The fuck? Aren't you missing your opportunity? She interrupted, gesturing lazily at Chuckles. You should be killing this thing or at the very least running for your life. Yeah, and you have answers, Blank said, stepping forward. Tickles be damned. I'm gonna need those. Do you know how many people have died here? From the look of anger and disgust on her face, Blank seemed to have struck a nerve. Behind her, the beast rustled, its breaths coming in shorter, faster increments. Slowly, the pole in its face began moving outward. No, it had been moving all along. Only half of it still resided in its head. It can heal, Blank shouted. He tried to stand, but had trouble putting weight on the arm where he'd been tickled. Smaller arms started to come out of the big injured arm, as well as its sides. The transformation clearly caused it pain, but it was likely necessary for combat effectiveness. And it can... what do you even call that? Seems like telling you anything would be a waste of time. Seeing how you're about to become this thing's lunch, she said, continuing to walk past the crippled beast as it peeled itself from the ground. The pole in its face was now nearly 60% free. It was stalling for time. That was a gift, Blank screamed. He wound up a championship-worthy kick, firmly placing the pole back where it belonged. It yelped. Blank forgot about its tail, which promptly knocked him back into his wall. You know, I'm not gonna lie, big guy, Blank groaned. I am a bit hurt that you have more concern with the injuries she gave you than mine. We've known each other for so much longer now, like old friends, and you treat her like she's special. Sure, now he was stalling, but he meant every word. Sure, she's kind of cute, but she's a real bitch, bro. Bros gotta stick together, right? He paused. Are you a boy monster or a girl monster? It doesn't matter either way, we've shared a meal together. Back on its feet, along with its new fun limbs, Chuckles let out an eardrum-bursting roar. Yep, Blank muttered, cracking his neck as he took a few steps away from the wall, leaving behind the imprint of his body, hopefully for the last time. Yeah, me too, buddy. Something about seeing the difference in strength between him and that woman lit a fire in him. I mean, the actual room itself was getting hotter, but that's besides the point. He was much stronger than he knew, and he decided he would be much stronger. The ground rumbled and shook a little, and the second it stopped, Blank took off in a full sprint toward what he decided was his next meal. Chuckles took a wide stance. Once Blank was in range, it opened its maw to greet him. Blank stopped, taking a half step back, narrowly avoiding the bite. It rose onto its hind legs and sent its injured arm, with the modified hands coming out of it, toward him. Blank ducked past the big one, but got caught by one of the smaller appendages. He flew into a new wall but didn't stay there long. He noticed the tail coming down on him and crouched, spinning backward, planting the back of his heel into the side of the serpent-shaped appendage. He came at it again, receiving the same treatment as before. But instead of attempting to avoid the claws, he attacked the big paw at its joints. He barely avoided one of the smaller arms. The other he grabbed as it came toward him. Ducking behind it, he sent a strong elbow into its joint. The tail attempted to trip him up as the main body tried to face him. It didn't work. He landed blow after powerful blow to the body, while simultaneously disassembling each limb thrown his way. As the fight went on, his fists went even deeper into the creature's body. One punch even lifted it off the ground a little. It roared in frustration. Blank wasn't happy about being there either. Of course, he was thrilled that he was able to keep up and hold his own. When he first saw the monster, his main concern was how to get away, how to survive. Now all he could think about was how to catch up with that woman and ask her what the hell was going on in this place. Among other things, then he got an idea. She'd have to help him fight this thing if he brought it to her, right? There was always the possibility that she had subjected him to the same tickle torture she did to this thing. But that was a risk he was willing to take. In the midst of his scheming, it seemed Chuckles had some ideas of his own. Its whole body started to shift and bubble, like when it was creating those new hands. And yep, sure enough, welcome to Hand City. They'd made them a lot faster than the first ones he saw. They didn't look all that threatening. Spindly arms, some longer than others, with itty-bitty baby hands attached. A forest of baby hands was not on his bingo card. There were far too many for him to avoid them all. Chuckles began to charge up his goo cannon. Wallace's baby hands attempted to give Blank a hug. Pause. I told you I don't do that on the first date. Blank yanked the pole out of its face, while kicking himself away from it to give himself some leverage. Then he charged it right into its spew sack. The hands went wild. They were talking full-on standing ovation. As the baby hands went to remove the pole from its gullet, Blank did a past-heading maneuver in the direction from whence he came, trying to see if he could catch up with the lady in red. But halfway down the hall, he remembered he'd be going in the same direction as where he'd left B. And with how this thing kept adapting and mutating, there was no telling the amount of collateral damage it would make. The second he turned around to head back toward Chuckles, the beast was in the air, inches away from his face. Blank grabbed onto its arm, using its momentum, ducking under it, while guiding its face toward the ground. Wallace's baby hands gave him the pat on the back he deserved. It landed with a satisfying crunch. Then a towel wrapped around his shoulders twice, giving him a less than satisfying crunch. Then slammed him into the ground, into the wall, then back into the ground. The mouth on the tail, almost fully functional again, started looking at him while baby hands formed along the length of the tail. The hands growing on the main body started to become more developed as time went on. A tear fell from Blank's eye. They grow up so fast. The tailhead butted him in the face. I'm not sure if that counts as a bite, but we're sticking with it. It attempted to bite him. How many times I gotta teach you this lesson, old man? Blank bit first. The tail launched him into the side of the wall one last time, while releasing him from its grip. His baby arms finally reaching Big Daddy status, Blank decided he didn't really want to play with him anymore. He noticed an oversized laundry chute hole in the wall and jumped in. He started climbing immediately. And of course, Chuckles came in after him. The doorway was a bit tight, but it made short work of it and started putting those appendages to work climbing after him. Despite its extra help, Blank seemed to be able to climb a bit faster due to gravity being on his side. An explosion went off beneath them. Fire licked the sides of the small elevator chute as it trailed up. Not high enough to reach them, though. With some effort, Blank managed to squeeze past the transportation device that went up and down. This chute and searched for a way to release it from its cable. It didn't take long. It was big, red, and covered in warning labels all around it, probably explaining how dangerous it was to touch this if you weren't a trained professional. And oh baby, he touched the hell out of it. Though even with the latches unlatched, some kind of safety mechanism prevented it from going down. Well, that's disappointing. The beast roared. The room shook from another explosion. Blank jumped up and down on top of the thing, like a kid having a tantrum because he didn't get what he wanted for Christmas this year. Then he heard metal coils give way. He almost fell. Now holding tight to the main cable holding up the elevator, he gave 2 more solid stomps. It came undone before he could deliver a third. It didn't fall down cleanly, hitting all the walls during its descent. But it fell. Hard. A squanch and a squeal from Chuckles as its new toy came to greet him. The elevator barely slowed down, and as if on cue, when they reached the ground together, they were met with yet another explosion from below. Flames reaching even higher up. Blank made his way back to the floor where he'd left B, giving one last look down the elevator chute to see if he could spot signs of life. Man, I really thought that thing was gonna eat you. Blank spun. Gah! What in the 7 hells and 3 wise men are you creeping up on me like that? I could have murderized you. I think the words you're looking for are thank you, sweet and benevolent one. Yeah. I don't think I needed a jump scare. I'm not even sure if that thing's dead yet. You didn't kill it, B said. What was all the boom-boom about? I lost track of you once you went into the wall. You! Blank paused to take a breath. Yeah, there's a good amount of space in the ceiling to move around. I figured I'd be safe enough up there. And I was not about to let my new dad die. Big brother. Blank said true. B replied, you're now nowhere near as cool and macho as a dad. Plus, we still have to find your dad, said Blank. And while plenty of people have two dads, it'd be impolite to assume he'd want to marry before we even met. B's face curled in disgust. Ew, no. He's your dad too now, you can't marry him. Pause. Plus, I heard what you said when you put me in the ceiling. Did you see him die? Blank knelt down to make eye contact. Look, I didn't see anyone die. Pause. I'm not dumb. B said, I knew he probably wasn't going to make it. Blank took a deep breath, then continued. But I did see a monster, matching the description of what was chasing you, and it was eating something. You mean someone? Said B, looking even sadder than she sounded. Blank replied, there's no way to know for sure who or what it was eating. Maybe your dad fell down the same hole my friend fell in. Pause. Considering all the explosions going off down there, he might not be in great shape either. B smirked. Great pep talk. We won't know Jack until we get down there. Blank said B looked confused. Who's Jack? The two of them shared a look. Pause. Then a laugh. Some of the laughter may have been forced, but with the tensions being as high as they were, they both seemed to appreciate a brief escape from reality. They began slowly walking toward the staircase, where they first saw the monster. Hey, Blank said, you saw that fight. You know I can handle myself. But if something tries to eat us and you don't stay hidden, I'm gonna be distracted. And that's not good for either of us. B scoffed. Yeah, okay. But if it wasn't for my buffs, you'd have been toast. I was going to buff the pretty lady too. But she was kind of a Blank stopped walking to look down at B. Buffs?